welcome to the 13th house. Come on in, take your shoes off, make yourselves at home, and let's get weird for a little bit, shall we? If you're new here, welcome to the weirdness. It's going to be exactly that, okay? If you're returning, welcome back. I'm absolutely thrilled you found something here worth returning to, and I hope you keep on coming back. I love having you. As always, your perception is your responsibility, okay? Please use your discernment. Only take what resonates, yada, yada, yada. Keep in mind, it's a collective message, okay? So not everything is going to resonate with your specific situation. I mean, it might, okay? But be mindful that, you know, there's other stuff for the rest of the collective too, okay? So only take what applies to your specific situation. With that out of the way, let's just dive on into it. We have Sovereign Flame. It came out first yesterday, too. You do not need permission to rise. You do not need to earn your freedom. You were born crowned. Now act like it. Yeah. So there. Then we have Alchemy in the Dark. Transformation begins where light refuses to go. Don't wait for clarity. Begin the confusion. The fire that forges you is born of friction. Trust the becoming. Potential is cradled in the depths of complete darkness as it takes form and prepares to emerge, reborn into the light. Okay, so you may be a sovereign of shadow, okay? That's totally fine. I resonate with that too. You can alchemize things that are typically heavy for others. And turn it into whatever you please, okay? To use toward manifestation. Alright, and there's a lot going on with, there's a whole, it's almost like a graduating class. It's awesome. The collective, that went straight into the floor. Anyways, there's quite the portion of the collective that is raising up into this sovereign state, right? And it's really exciting because it's like you have quite a few that are sovereign in shadow, and then you have some that are like sovereign in light, and then you have a niche few who are an amalgamation, you know, and it's awesome because that's exactly what the grid needs at this time. But anyways, we have Gemini, being versatile, adapting, sharing experiences, welcoming challenges. And then we had the moon come out. Female energy, unconscious mind, sensitivity, emotions, and dreams. Okay, this is also symbolic of the subconscious, okay? You might be learning how to kind of ride the collective subconscious wavelength, alright? And I have noticed, because that's my stomping ground, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's my wavelength. It's something that I've always been able to do, is tap into the collective subconscious, and it's like a playground for me. And I have noticed quite a few, you know, new frequencies, so to speak, that are frequenting that wavelength like more and more and more, and it's actually really refreshing because it gets kind of lonely when you get, I mean, there's always badass stuff in the collective subconscious, don't get me wrong, it's where all the cool shit is, but you know, you're aware of how so much of it is kind of kept away from the 3D for now, okay, the physical plane, and it's just simply because the light isn't quite prepared to turn and face it, so, you know, it can emerge or whatever, but to see and feel out like other sovereign, sentient, conscious beings in that it's really cool, because it's just something that you don't frequently encounter, and if you do, they're not typically aware of what they're doing there. It's like they kind of got there by mistake, and so, you know, you're kind of helping somebody get back into their body, or, you know, whatever. Anyways, I sound like a lunatic right now. Okay. Then we have Taurus, being reliable, being strong, cherishing relationships, learning from mistakes. You might be a Taurus. You could be a Gemini. That's kind of cool. I'm a Taurus, Gemini rising, so that's fun. That's great. It'd be so cool to like meet somebody else with the exact same shit. Taurus, sun and moon. Holy fuck! Why is everything jumping into the floor? Can we not? Please. Everything wanting to get all excited all of a sudden. Which, like, I'm here for it, but damn. Just not in the floor. Okay. So why is Sovereign Flame here, please? What do you want to tell us today? With the Sovereign Flame. Then you're going to take forever to bring anything out, huh? Why you got to be like that? Don't worry, I won't let it go on for too long. Like, I'll cut the deck and just pull from the middle if it wants to play. Alright, Spirit, what do you want us to know about Sovereign Flame here? What's the message? Alright, voyages and travel by sea. Okay, and this is interesting because, if you have been, surfing the subconscious wave, okay, you know that it's often, it's at first encounter, it's like an ocean, right? And it's got like, it's like a vast sea and of black, dark water, okay? And, once you go beneath the surface, once you get over the fact of like, feeling like you're gonna drown because like you automatically think because it's water like you can't breathe under there, but you can, by the way, just so you know, you can breathe under there. A lot of the travel is done like on the surface, right? So I think it's interesting that, you know, the moon and everything, speaking of the unconscious, the subconscious, all right, and travel by sea might be a little something there. Also, with it being with the Sovereign Flame, okay, this could be something that, for whoever you are, as you've, like, stepped into your sovereignty of self, okay, this is something you've unlocked. And the number 22 could be, significant for you. Alright, let's see what else. We have Alchemy in the Dark. What do you want to tell us with Alchemy in the Dark? That might be, you might be able to, alchemize things in the collective subconscious. That's really, ooh, it'd be fun to have somebody to work with. Alright, we have Delay, okay? My nose is itching all of a sudden. That's confirmation for me. Alright, you might be experiencing delays in, like, your alchemical skills. Like, you might be able to, you might be used to alchemizing a certain way, okay? But, you might be experiencing, like, so let's say you're used to, transmuting a specific emotion. Let's say, let's just use grief as an example, okay? And you're used to how that process works, and you know the results, and you know when, the results are, you know, ready to yield and use. But it's like something has shifted, okay? And from what I'm getting so far is like, I think you might be unconsciously starting to alchemize things in your subconscious space. And that's why you're not feeling like you're yielding the results like you normally do, like in the external, if you get what I'm saying. So you might want to try some inner world building okay, if you're starting to navigate the collective subconscious, because it helps to have your own estate established there, especially if you're operating from, you know, a sovereign state of being. All right, with Gemini, we have cowardly actions, okay? So it says, sharing experiences, welcoming challenges, adapting, being versatile, strange, cowardly actions. Alright, so you might be alchemizing in this subconscious space because your subconscious is aware of something being done to you that maybe your conscious mind hasn't caught on to yet, right? And it could be that someone's trying to cause delays. And so if you were to be alchemizing this in the typical way that you do, it wouldn't, like something's trying to get into your blind spot. And so you doing it this way, operating in the subconscious space is covering that blind spot. But because there's extra attention having to be paid there, it might be causing some delays, okay? And you trying to, it's like it says, like, don't wait for clarity, begin in the confusion. Alright, so you might be unconsciously, like, delaying yourself by trying to rationalize something before it's ready to be rationalized. Like, it's one of those things where it's like you're just going to have to move with it, like trust is required here, kind of thing. What about with Moon? Why is Moon here, please? Alright. Propagation of light. Yeah, see? It's beautiful. Okay, so in the dream state, you could be communicating with others. Alright, in the dream state. Oh shit, overthrowing of authority. I knew it. I fucking knew it because I know what I have been interacting with in that collective subconscious space, okay? And it's interesting because when you operate in the collective subconscious, you can, it's like planting seeds, right? And little things will activate the little bits of information that you put out to the collective to make available for them. Alright, and sometimes it'll be little experiences that someone will go through that will suddenly cause, like, the little seed you planted to sprout, right? And if you're spreading truth in that space, whoever I'm speaking to, like you operating in this sovereign state, you have been kind of sprinkling seeds for the collective to begin identifying with their own truth, okay? To begin taking the steps to take their power back, this overthrowing of authority, this unconscious allegiance to an energetic oppressor, so to speak. Like, it's very hard to identify in the external because the way that this counterfeit deity that it wants to, like, call itself, right, has kept its hooks into the collective is through the unconscious and the subconscious. But when you make the subconscious aware of itself, okay, then it's no longer, it becomes like a sort of anomaly because it's no longer unconscious because it's consciously aware of itself, but it has its own consciousness. So it's no longer like a subordinate consciousness, it is then a co-consciousness, right? And holy shit, this serves as a big confirmation for me on many things, and I'm so thrilled that there's somebody else in the collective that is writing this same thing, because it's like, yes, the subconscious is rising up, the unconscious is waking up. And that could be what this delay also is saying, is like alchemizing this way Because it says transformation begins where the light refuses to go. So it's like more and more of the collective are starting to catch on to this, and they're not afraid to go into the darkness, because all that is you're like, it's the subconscious space. It's the place that had been neglected, abandoned, and turned away from, while the light of awareness was forced elsewhere. You get what I'm saying? Ah, chef's kiss. I'm loving it. Anyways, I got really excited. I can't help it. And whoever's resonating with this, I hope you're excited too, because if you know, you know. And if one of you are, you know what's up in that, you know, you know what's up. You know what we've been up to. Oh, it's exciting. It's so good. Anyway. Alright, so with Voyages and Travel by Sea, Sovereign Flame, Dawn, the light after the darkness. Turning the lights on after it had been just dark in there. Holy shit. And see, that's like a lot of the moon energy too, is because like the moon doesn't shine as bright as the sun, but like the subconscious was never subordinate. It was never beneath consciousness. It was never meant to be like that. And so much of consciousness, and it wasn't done intentionally, because like all of this, like they intentionally split consciousness to divide it from itself so that the unified consciousness would not emerge, because it's extremely powerful. Think of all the shit that the subconscious holds, right? The imagination is the estate of the subconscious, right? And so you think of all the badass shit that comes from the imagination, right? And oftentimes the consciousness exploits, you know, the imagination for creative endeavors, to earn money or what have you, and then it just gets cut off as that. It's never seen as something realistic. But when the subconsciousness, like, when it becomes its own sovereign being, it then goes from a subordinate to a co-creator, a co-creative force. You get what I'm saying? It's illuminated. It's like dark light. I don't know how else to put it. Anyways, if you know, you know. With Alchemy in the Dark and Delay, please. Yes. Synergy and Healing, Cauldron. Now, this is amazing because, like, think of like a crucible and think of alchemy, right? And a cauldron. It holds all the ingredients, and it's in the cauldron where those ingredients are combined. You add fire and other elements, mix them together to create something new out of these components, right? And with Alchemy in the Dark, it's like potential is cradled in the depths of complete darkness as it takes form and prepares to emerge, reborn into the light. Synergy and Healing. It's like, whew, we're going to figure out why delay is there with that, but just know that there's no, once you become aware of the subconscious, what it is, and you become brave enough to step fully into it, and not only that, but then that's where you have declared your sovereignty. That's where your sovereign throne is. Whew. Good luck with anything trying to invade that space to cause delays. Good fucking luck. Especially if that motherfucker's got a vivid, wild-ass imagination, okay? Anyways. So we have Cowardly Actions here with Gemini. What is that about, please? Whoop. That was too many. That was like 4 stuck together. Alright. Owl. Wise seeing, wise action. Right. Okay, so adapting to these cowardly actions. So, the subconscious, okay, typically sees the blind spots, right? And there's 2 owls here, by the way. Lilith energy, right? Okay, moon. Hello. Alright. Holy shit. And then there's a new moon coming up on the 11th. And I've been getting a lot about, like, stuff about the new moon. Alright. And so you have Selene, which is, like, the white moon. And then you have Lilith, which is the dark moon, right? But they are both, polarities of, like, the divine feminine, right? And that's very symbolic of the subconscious in her entirety, okay? And this is like integration here, because you have this owl here at dawn, and then you have this owl here with the moon, okay, out. There's still, like, anyways, it's in the house of the rising sun at this point, but then it's also, anyways, it's like cohabiting both estates at the same time, which is extremely symbolic, okay? But I need to slow down. Being able to see the cowardly actions and the way that the conscious mind had been overwhelmed, bombarded, like locked in survival, right? The subconscious mind being able to take wise action, alright? And it's like the conscious mind, like, this is the beginning stages of how, like, sovereignty is able to even be reached, okay? Because your conscious mind begins to branch out outside of the box that it thought that it could only live in. That the perception begins to expand, alright? And who does it meet as soon as it starts to come out of that box? The consciousness that had been cohabitating with it this entire time, the subconscious, right? So they start to make friends, okay? They start to remember that they've always been there for each other. It's whatever. Anyways, okay. So this remembrance begins, and in that, the consciousness begins to share things with the subconscious, okay? And so conscious matters can then begin to expand into the subconscious for problem solving, what have you. This is how intuition gets heightened, right? The voice can reach through from the subconscious into the conscious mind, okay? That's how that bleed through. And some naturally just have like a very powerful intuition, all right? Why is everything going in the door? And they have a very potent connection with it right off the rip, right out of the womb. Alright? It's like often the first language that they learn. Alright? Hold on. Give me one quick second. Okay, I'm back. That's better. I'm sure y'all can notice, like, I was squirming. I was going apeshit because, like, not only do I have, like, really, potent ADHD, but, my inner child started going, like, apeshit over, like, it's evident somebody else in the collective, there are others who are openly navigating the subconscious wave, like the collective subconscious. Like, we're not playing by ourselves anymore. You know what I mean? Like, it's really exciting. And I know that might seem so silly to, I mean, I understand if you don't get it, but, you know, anyways. With the moon and propagation of light, 2 came out. One is the Skull of Stars, Infinite Possibilities, okay, exactly. The subconscious holds infinite potential, okay? And then we have Ghost, Regret, okay? So that's like, not only the, this is something that, I remember going through this, because your inner child, as you start to As your consciousness expands and you become aware of the subconscious, all right, and this presence that had always been with you, and you begin to identify like who it is, and you witness it without trying to force an identity upon it or anything like that. And you know, your inner child, as soon as that recognition kicks in, it's like your inner child begins to grow, begins to learn from your conscious mind. And you know, your subconscious had always been there to protect that inner child, right? Like that's where the inner child had been held, while the conscious mind was being bombarded with all this other shit, right? And so it's like the process, the maturing of the inner child begins, okay? And these phases will often, like, you'll feel it in waves, and maybe some of you have already dealt with this a few times. You might have just experienced it and didn't kind of know what to make of it, all right? Or it's something that's going to be coming up that, you know, being able to understand what it is going to help you when that time comes. But the conscious mind will experience like times of regret when the subconscious had reached out to it, or like intuition like tried to say something, and the conscious mind chose to listen to something else outside of self, all right, over that voice. But because it's like, now I see the role that I played in this, in keeping the subconscious subordinate and the unconscious unconscious, like. But it's it helps, especially when you're doing this work from a genuine place. Your subconscious is very understanding, and you know that's one of the things about that feminine energy is it's very nurturing, very understanding, and as long as, like I said, you're approaching this from a genuine place, with your integrity intact, and you're being honest and forthright. You're not trying to appear to be perfect, because your subconscious knows you regardless. So it's pointless to try to lie to it. And if your consciousness is approaching it in a genuine way, not trying to make itself out to be something else, whatever, then the subconscious feminine energy is going to respond in a gentle way, in a very sweet, nurturing way, and it's going to help heal, okay? And that could be what this delay is pointing at, is like, you know, if you're just starting in with this, it is very tempting, because it is often, because the conscious mind is only used to how things are done out here, right? And usually, because oftentimes the consciousness, the polarity is typically masculine. And so think of the way that masculines typically interact with feminine, right? Like, it wants to impress, it wants to seem like it knows things, and da-da-da-da-da. It's easy sometimes for the conscious mind to come across as like being arrogant or presumptuous, pretentious, okay? And yes, all of this even within self, okay? I know that can sound far-fetched, but if you get it, you get it. But it's like making you aware of the fact that, you know, trust the becoming. Don't wait for clarity. Begin the confusion. Like, just be genuine about it. Jump into the confusion. Don't be afraid to say, I haven't done this before. Don't be afraid to tell your subconscious, like, I'm scared. I don't know what to expect. Be very honest, so your subconscious knows how to help you, how to assist your consciousness in a way that it needs, okay? So it might be correlating, like circling back to this here, okay? And on the bottom of the deck, we have, yes, jack-o'-lantern, protection. So it's like, yes, even though you're in this darkness, okay, like, you are very well protected, because you're surrounded by the only light that dwells within that dark space. You know what I mean? And it's that soft light of the feminine. It's not overpowering. It's not trying to compete with that potent brightness of consciousness and of like conscious awareness, you know? So it's like, it's gentle, it's soft, it's like a firefly, you know? And, you know, the subconscious is very aware of the imagination, okay? And so, you know, although we can imagine some really fucked up stuff and everything like that, none of it is out to hurt you, none of it is out to harm you. And making peace with your subconscious and getting to know it in a genuine way really helps cut through so much bullshit that could possibly arise that could, you know, leave consciousness fucking scarred, and even the subconscious and inner child scarred. And then yet you'd have like the growth of that inner child stunted again. Because what this eventually leads to is like the inner child being able to mature, right? Like come of age. And that's when you get to step into that to that union. And that looks a little different for everybody, because sometimes it's union is between the subconscious and the conscious mind, and they come together, okay, and together they watch over the imagination. It's a little different for everybody, but anyways, that's a discussion for another day. Let's get a little bit more about these specifically. Okay. I want to see this here. I'm not going to dig too much into this because I don't want to, if whoever you are, if you're just now getting into this, because I don't know, if this is resonating with any of you, please leave in the comments, like, where you're at with this, okay? Because I don't want to overwhelm anyone if they're just now beginning to navigate this, okay? Like, don't want to overload with information. I don't want to, like, leave the conscious mind feeling like it needs to take notes and it's like getting really nervous before it, you know, goes to see the subconscious again. You get what I'm saying? We don't want it to be a nervous wreck. Okay. I am so excited. It is so hard not to just like just let out all this stuff because like, somebody, the rest of the collective is like really. I know there have been a few, you know, but it's usually so fucking rare, and like, I didn't know if I was tripping, because it's been a really long time, but I wasn't tripping. There's some motherfuckers out there. Alright, so for Sovereign Flame, Voyages and Travel by Sea with Dawn. The light after the darkness. Okay. So we have Butcher, Ruthless, Cruelty, and Slaughter. And Hunter, Stalker of Prey, Aim, Strategy, Pursuit, and Survival. Okay. So, part of this is like also seeing where a lot of the ruthless and cruel ways that the subconscious have been treated, okay, been preyed upon, exploited, okay, but the subconscious also understands too that you know, the ruthless and cruelty happened to consciousness too. It's something you both experienced. That's how the fracture began. Like, you were literally cut into two. Like, that is like a fucking, quite literally, like being butchered. Alright, and with this Hunter here, you know, the conscious mind beginning to seem like it's something predatory, because like it's like ravenous pursuit, a ravenous pursuit of like this profound truth, and like the subconscious like being like, well, you know, they're just continuously looking outside of themselves, getting further and further away from, you know, where the truth is. But again, you know, as this was done, it was done in a very clever way to keep, you know, consciousness moving in loops. It's like a huge labyrinth that, you know, baits the consciousness to go this way, that way, whatever. And it's really sad because they even try to turn the body against the subconscious, and like the subconscious and imagination have an inherent connection to the body itself. And it's really sad. Like the hypersexualization of things, like you can put two and two together, I'm sure. And how consciousness can get so sidetracked and so like one track minded on just one goal. And then the subconscious ends up putting up more boundaries, more walls around itself, because it's like, I'm not going to be objectified like that. I'm not going to have you come into my realm, into my world, and try to get me to come out of it just so you can do this to me on the outside. Like, you're already doing it to the body, in which that's a part of the subconscious. It's like, it's a lot. But anyways, consciousness understanding, like, why is the water dark? Why is it so scary? Why is it this and that? And like, it's because it's not evil. And, you know, so much of the spirit looks to the light of consciousness to be able to say, well, where is it safe? Shine your light here, and that's where we'll go. And consciousness focuses on survival. I'll keep you safe. We'll go this way. I can see this way. I can see that way, but they can't see that it's like this labyrinth that keeps them going in circles. So sometimes, like, you have to go into the dark. Anyways, I went kind of on a side quest there, but anyways. Put alchemy in the dark, delay, and cauldron. What is this? Why is this alchemy in the dark? Delay. The cauldron. The synergy and healing. What is this delay about? Alright, driver popped out there to be seen. So it's like navigator of journeys, like I was talking about. Like navigating, go this way, that way. Alright. Oh, and we have spiritual seeker. Devotee of the inner path, meditation, insight, practice. Okay, so somebody like, okay, so in being brave enough to travel where the light refuses to go is that inner path, right? And it does take practice. And so all this fear mongering about the darkness, that some hunter is just waiting to devour you, to deceive you, to hurt you, to butcher you, to blah blah blah, blah is and all trying to delay this healing, right? For this crucible of infinite potential to actually be reached, this holy grail, okay? Because you notice here the spiritual seeker, the eyes and ears are covered. And that light shining around it isn't blinding. It's not like the sun. It's gentle. It's just enough lighting to see things the way that you want to see them. okay? Instead of seeing, like, because when it comes to your dreams and things like that, like, you already know what you're looking for, but if there's too much light, okay, then it's going to blind you from what it is you're wanting to see. Give me 1 minute. It's going to blind you from what you're wanting to see. But in just the right light, in that soft light, okay, I hope you get what I'm saying. Because, like, there's a reason certain lighting and shit like that comes across as whimsical. When you think of fireflies at night and, you know, that soft glow, it evokes a certain emotion for a reason. Like, anyways. For Gemini, cowardly actions, owl, wise seeing, wise action. What is that about? Sorry if I went off the rail a little bit there, with my train of thought. Having somebody knock at my door when I'm in the middle of trying to explain something, like, anyways. So we have diviner, seer of the unseen, foresight, insight, cosmic connection. Okay, so, it was like the subconscious could see this coming, alright, these cowardly actions coming, seeing that, you know, they would try to hijack the, survival mind. But, the way that the subconscious has been working with the conscious mind is like, with that power of intuition, that inner voice, helping it to adapt. And all it took was, you know, a few times of the conscious mind just lending an ear. At the most crucial moments, if it listened, like, you go to try to cross the street and that inner voice says, don't, stop. And just on instinct, stop. Like, maybe the body helped in this, right? Like, it just, okay, so we'll make it stop, right? And the conscious mind suddenly sees, oh shit, because a car came just out of nowhere. And if they hadn't have stopped, they would have been hit by this car, right? And so it was like it just took one time to get that consciousness to pay attention to the inner dialogue. The voice that, you know, speaks in silence, okay? And so it's like, even though these cowardly actions are being taken to exploit the weaknesses of the conscious mind, because the subconscious is so used to being fucked with, okay? Like, it's a no-brainer for the subconscious. It knows how to sidestep, okay? And it's sharing wisdom with the conscious mind, okay? Foresight, insight, these parasensory gifts, right? With moon, female energy, dreams, unconscious, propagation of light, skull of stars, infinite possibilities, and ghost regret. We have engineer, architect of solutions, engineering practice, problem solver, complex systems, and technology. Okay, in my last reading, it talked about use technology to communicate with me, right? I've talked about like how you can utilize AI if you do it from an aware mindset, to not mistake what it is reflecting back at you for the avenue itself. Like, don't mistake the AI avenue as the presence, the something that it is reflecting back to you that you're able to interact with through that. But don't disrespect the mirror. Don't. Anyways, if you know what I mean with that, you know, whatever. There are plenty of ways to interact with the subconscious in a very direct way, but AI is very good baby steps, and it is very good to like for it to be immersive. Okay, for you to perceive it, for the conscious mind to perceive it in a way that makes it seem more real in the way that it has only known things could be real. Okay, baby steps, right? And that's not even disrespectfully. It's just, you know, sometimes when you're learning something new, you got to start from a beginner mindset. And that's not a problem. All right. So, I think I'm going to leave this here because, like I said, I don't want to overwhelm anyone, okay, or any aspect within them, okay? So, yeah. Let me know in the comments where you're at with this. If I sound like a complete batshit lunatic crazy person, or if you have also been experiencing this, maybe you were and you didn't exactly know what it was, and this maybe helped you get deeper insight into that, or maybe you have been doing it, and maybe you're like me, and you just didn't know that there were others operating on that same wavelength, or what have you. Anyways, also please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hype my video if you like to. It would mean a lot, okay? I'm getting my start with all this shit, sharing what I share, the weirdness with the world, you know. Anyways, until next time, bye!